When we talk about success, one of the most fundamental principles to understand is that the people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your future. This isn't just some motivational talk, it's a fundamental truth. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and pessimism, you will find it extremely difficult to rise above those influences and achieve greatness. Negativity is like a virus. It spreads quickly and infects everyone it touches. If you're constantly around people who complain, who always focus on the obstacles and never on the opportunities, then that becomes your reality. You start to see the world through their lens of limitations, and suddenly your dreams feel far out of reach. The negative energy drains you and stops you from thinking creatively and taking the necessary steps toward your goals. Now, this doesn't mean you should cut people off simply because they're struggling or facing difficult situations. Everyone has challenges, and it's important to offer support when needed. However, there's a big difference between offering constructive criticism and being consistently negative. The person who never has anything positive to say, who always looks at the world through a glass half-empty lens, can hold you back from achieving your potential. Being around that negativity makes you start doubting your own abilities, questioning your decisions, and putting off your aspirations. Procrastination is one of the most dangerous habits that can hold you back from achieving success. It's an easy trap to fall into. We all have dreams, goals, and aspirations, but when it comes time to take action, many of us hesitate. We put things off, waiting for the right moment or for everything to be perfect. But here's the truth. The right moment never comes, and perfection is an illusion. If you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, you'll be waiting forever. Procrastination doesn't just delay your success, it often leads to a cycle of frustration and regret. Every time you put something off, you pile up tasks, and the weight of those unfinished projects becomes heavier and heavier. This is not just about the tasks themselves, it's about the emotional toll it takes on you. Every time you avoid what needs to be done, you begin to lose confidence in your ability to follow through. You start to believe that you're not capable of completing your goals, and that self-doubt can be a powerful force in keeping you stuck in place. The key to overcoming procrastination is to understand that action, even imperfect action, is far more valuable than waiting for the right time or perfect conditions. You have to learn to embrace the discomfort of getting started, because once you take that first step, momentum begins to build. The more you delay, the more daunting the task seems. But the more you act, the more confident you become in your ability to handle what's in front of you. This doesn't mean you should act recklessly or without preparation, but it does mean that you need to stop using the illusion of perfection as an excuse to avoid taking action. Successful people understand that progress comes through small, consistent steps, not through giant leaps that only happen when everything is aligned. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never start. The key is to start, and start now. It's in the doing that you will figure things out. Take a moment to reflect on the last time you procrastinated. How did you feel? More often than not, procrastination leads to feelings of anxiety, guilt, and stress. It feels like a heavy weight on your shoulders because you know you should be doing something, but you choose to avoid it. The longer you put things off, the more you end up carrying that emotional burden. It starts to eat away at your focus, energy, and drive. On the other hand, when you take action, even in small amounts, you break free from that burden. You start to feel lighter, more in control, and more capable. Action provides clarity. When you make a move, you learn what works and what doesn't. You adjust, refine, and improve. Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to where you want to be. Action gives you the momentum to keep going, and it builds your confidence with every completed task. One of the most powerful ways to defeat procrastination is to break down your larger goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. When you look at a big goal, it can feel overwhelming. You might feel like there's too much to do and no way to accomplish it all. But when you break it down into smaller steps, the task becomes less intimidating. Each small action you take brings you closer to your ultimate goal, and with every step you complete, you build confidence in your ability to achieve what you set out to do. Another effective strategy to combat procrastination is to set deadlines for yourself. Deadlines provide structure and urgency. They push you to take action when you might otherwise delay. It's important to hold yourself accountable and not let things slip. If you treat your goals with the same seriousness that you would treat a work deadline or an appointment, you'll be more likely to stay on track and take the necessary steps to make progress. Creating a routine is also essential when it comes to overcoming procrastination. A routine helps you build discipline. When you have a set time each day to work on your goals, you remove the need for decision-making and the action becomes automatic. The more you make your goals part of your daily routine, the less likely you are to procrastinate. Success doesn't come from sporadic bursts of motivation. It comes from consistency, from showing up every day and doing the work. At the heart of procrastination is often fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of the unknown. But understand this, fear is a natural part of the process. It's not something to avoid, it's something to push through. Fear doesn't have to stop you from moving forward. Successful people feel fear just like everyone else, but they don't let it paralyze them. They acknowledge it and then they act anyway. Taking action, no matter how small, diminishes the power that fear holds over you. Finally, remember that the longer you procrastinate, the more opportunities you miss. Time is one of the most precious resources we have, and once it's gone, it can never be regained. If you're waiting for the perfect time to start, you're losing valuable moments that could be spent building your future. Action doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to happen. Every day you delay is a day you could have used to move closer to your goals. So take a deep breath, acknowledge the fear, and take that first step. Stop waiting, stop hesitating, start now. Because success is built on action. Every moment you procrastinate is a moment of growth, learning, and opportunity that slips through your fingers. It's time to leave procrastination behind and start moving forward toward the success you've always dreamed of. Fear of failure is one of the most paralyzing emotions that holds people back from reaching their full potential. It's easy to see failure as the end, but in reality, failure is simply a stepping stone to success. Many people avoid taking action or pursuing their dreams because they fear failure. But the truth is, failure is not the enemy. It's the greatest teacher you'll ever have. Every successful person you admire has experienced failure. They didn't achieve their success in a straight line. They stumbled, they fell, but they got back up, learned from their mistakes, and moved forward. That's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. One of the reasons we fear failure so much is that we associate it with judgment and shame. When we fail, we often feel embarrassed or inadequate. We worry about what others will think or whether we'll be seen as incompetent. But these fears are largely rooted in the opinions of others, which is something we have little control over. The reality is that everyone fails. It's a natural part of life. The most successful individuals have failed more times than they can count. But they understand that failure doesn't define them. It's merely a temporary setback, a lesson that helps them grow. The fear of failure often comes from the idea that we are not enough, that we don't have the skills, resources, or knowledge to succeed. But this belief is nothing more than a self-limiting thought. You have to recognize that failure does not define your worth. It doesn't make you less of a person. It simply means that you tried something and didn't succeed the first time. And that's okay. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fail. They are the ones who embrace failure as a necessary part of the process. When you allow the fear of failure to hold you back, you limit your potential. You stop yourself from taking the risks necessary to grow, learn, and succeed. In fact, the fear of failure keeps you in your comfort zone where nothing ever changes. The true growth happens outside of your comfort zone. When you're willing to take risks, to try and fail, and to learn from your mistakes, that's when you unlock your potential. Success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about using failure as a tool for improvement. We also fear failure because we believe that failure means we've lost. But failure is not a loss, it's a lesson. Every time you fail, you gain knowledge, experience, and resilience. Each failure teaches you something valuable, whether it's about yourself, your approach, or the world around you. It's through failure that you gain the wisdom and strength to try again, and this time, you're better equipped to succeed. The most successful people understand this. They don't fear failure. They embrace it as a necessary part of the journey. Another key aspect of overcoming the fear of failure is changing your perspective. Instead of seeing failure as something negative, reframe it as an opportunity for growth. Failure is not a dead end. It's a fork in the road that leads you to a better path. When you fail, it's simply a sign that you need to adjust your approach, learn something new, or build your skills. Failure is the universe's way of telling you to keep going, to get better, and to try again with more experience under your belt. You also have to be willing to accept that failure is inevitable. It's not a question of if you'll fail, but when. And when it happens, instead of seeing it as a setback, you should see it as a step forward. The fear of failure often prevents us from trying new things, and that's where the real damage lies. If you never try, you'll never know what you're capable of. If you avoid failure, you'll never reach your highest potential. The only way to avoid failure is to do nothing, but doing nothing leads to mediocrity, not success. Overcoming the fear of failure starts with understanding that failure is temporary, it's not permanent, and it doesn't define you. It's a moment in time, and it's something you can bounce back from. When you fail, it's important to acknowledge the disappointment, but then let it go. Don't let it fester. Don't let it hold you back. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Failure is a learning experience if you're willing to see it that way. And when you learn from failure, you build resilience and confidence in yourself. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the strength to rise again. As you continue to take risks and embrace failure, you'll begin to see that failure isn't something to fear, it's something to welcome. Each failure brings you closer to your goals because each one teaches you something important. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more prepared you become for success. So instead of avoiding failure, go after it. Take risks, try new things, fail, and then get up, dust yourself off, and try again with a new perspective and greater knowledge. In the end, the fear of failure is what holds most people back from achieving greatness. It's a false belief that failure is the end of the road, when in reality, it's just the beginning of the journey. The true path to success is paved with failure. If you can learn to embrace it, to see it as a part of the process, you will be unstoppable. Failure is not a reflection of your abilities, it's a reflection of your willingness to try, to push through, and to keep moving forward no matter what. Comfort is one of the greatest barriers to success. It's easy to get comfortable, to settle into a routine where things feel safe and predictable. But if you want to achieve something extraordinary, you have to recognize that comfort is the enemy of growth. Success does not happen in a place where everything feels easy or where you never have to push yourself beyond your limits. Comfort keeps you stagnant, while discomfort is the driving force behind progress. The first step in overcoming the trap of comfort is recognizing its deceptive nature. When things are going smoothly, when everything is familiar, it's easy to feel like you're on the right path. But comfort often disguises itself as contentment. It tricks you into thinking that because you're not experiencing any major struggles, you must be doing well. However, real growth doesn't happen when everything is comfortable. It happens when you challenge yourself, when you push yourself to do things you've never done before. Growth comes when you step into the unknown, when you take risks that may seem daunting at first. Comfort keeps you in a state of complacency. It's the easy option, the one where you don't have to exert much effort, where you don't have to take risks, and where you don't have to face the unknown. But this is also where dreams go to die. When you stay comfortable, you limit your potential. You put yourself in a position where you're no longer striving for more. You might feel safe, but safety is the enemy of progress. Comfort zones become prisons when they prevent you from chasing your dreams or reaching your goals. Think about the most successful people in the world. Do you think they became successful by sticking to what was comfortable? Of course not. They had to face challenges. They had to go through uncomfortable situations that forced them to grow. They took risks, made mistakes, and faced setbacks. But through it all, they learned. They adapted. They got better. And every time they pushed past their comfort zones, They got one step closer to their success. It's also important to understand that discomfort is not a bad thing. In fact, discomfort is often a sign that you're on the right track. When you feel uncomfortable, it means you're growing, stretching, and stepping outside of what you already know. Whether it's taking on a new project, starting a business, or learning a new skill, discomfort signals that you're evolving. If you want to achieve anything worthwhile, you will have to face discomfort. You can't expect to climb a mountain without experiencing some level of strain. Success requires that you go through difficult moments and grow through them. One of the key reasons people avoid discomfort is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of the unknown. But here's the thing. Fear is not an indicator that you should back off. In fact, it's often a sign that you should lean in. Fear and discomfort are part of the process. If you let fear dictate your decisions, you will never take that first step. If you stay in your comfort zone, you will never know what you are capable of achieving. Success requires courage, and courage is born out of discomfort. The more you embrace the discomfort, the more you will grow. When you allow yourself to become too comfortable, you stop innovating, you stop improving. The world moves fast, and if you don't challenge yourself, you will fall behind. There is always someone else out there pushing themselves harder, trying new things, and striving for more. If you aren't constantly pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you will become stagnant and eventually irrelevant. Comfort is a slow killer of progress. It may feel good in the moment, but it robs you of your future potential. The idea of pushing past comfort may sound daunting, but it doesn't have to mean drastic change all at once. You don't have to completely overhaul your life to move past comfort. It can be small steps, little decisions that gradually push you to do things you've never done before. It could be taking on a new challenge at work, speaking in public, or traveling to a place you've never been. It could be something as simple as starting a new hobby or reading a book outside of your usual interests. The point is to get comfortable with discomfort. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the greater the rewards will be. In addition to personal growth, stepping out of your comfort zone also opens up new opportunities. When you take risks and embrace discomfort, you expose yourself to new experiences, new people, and new ways of thinking. You expand your horizons and begin to see the world through a different lens. Every new experience adds a layer to your understanding of the world and your place in it. The more you step outside of your comfort zone, the more you will realize just how much potential lies within you. It's also crucial to recognize that the fear of discomfort often fades once you get started. Most of us make the mistake of thinking that the process of change or challenge will be far worse than it actually is. We get overwhelmed by the idea of taking that first step and let it paralyze us. But once you push through that initial resistance and start taking action, you'll realize that the discomfort was not as bad as you thought. The more you embrace discomfort, the more you build confidence in your ability to handle challenges. You start to trust yourself, knowing that no matter what comes your way, you have the strength to push through. The journey to success is never comfortable, but it's always worth it. If you're willing to face discomfort head on, you'll unlock your true potential. Success doesn't come from staying in a place where things are easy. It comes from embracing challenges, learning from setbacks, and pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. If you want to reach new heights in your life and career, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Only then will you see the transformation that comes from growth and the rewards that follow. In conclusion, success is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice. It's about the decisions you make every day, the actions you take, and the mindset you adopt. If you want to move from poverty to prosperity, you must avoid the common traps that hinder progress: negativity, procrastination, fear of failure, and the lure of comfort. Surround yourself with positivity. Take action now, embrace failure as a learning experience, and step outside of your comfort zone. These are not just theoretical concepts, they are the practical keys to unlocking your potential. Success doesn't come from avoiding challenges or staying in a place where things are easy. It comes from facing adversity head on, learning from every setback, and continually striving for improvement. By following these principles, you will transform your mindset, build resilience, and attract the success that you've always dreamed of. Remember, the road to prosperity isn't easy, but it's worth every step. Take action today and watch your life begin to change for the better.